Yeah, hey. They say the moon landing was fake. JFK, man, they wanted him erased. Aliens in bunkers, government lies, chemtrails painting secrets in the skies. It's a co-host, dual voice, or the code. Digging through the chaos down every dark road. New world order, we taking names. Bigfoot's real and he knows the game. Conspiracy chaos where the truth gets wild. From pyramids to lizard kings in exile. They hide it all, but we pull the thread. So buckle up tight, it's all in your head. Conspiracy chaos where the truth gets wild. From pyramids to lizard kings in exile. They hide it all, but we pull the thread. So buckle up tight, it's all in your head.
This is Conspiracy Chaos. Truth, fiction, or both? Let's dive in.
Let's go. We're back with another episode of Conspiracy Chaos. My name is RGB. Joining me as always, got my co-host, Area 51, Anthony, and Florida Mike. What's up, boys?
What's going on?
Oh, just a daily dumping spray day here in Florida.
That's it, man. But we're gonna dive into a little Anunnaki talk here tonight, guys. We got Todd Cave joining us from the Conscious Man 7. Todd, appreciate you taking the time and joining us here tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me, mate, and looking forward to the conversation tonight.
Yeah, we are as well. We were introduced to you by Drew from Speaking in Code, a recent guest of ours, and I'm a big fan of the Anunnaki. There's a lot of different theories on the Anunnaki, and he said, if you guys want to talk Anunnaki, you're the guy to talk to. So why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the research let's start first, how you got into diving into this type of research.
So how I got into this is kind of a bit of a long story, but I'll try to condense as much as possible. So my first start of understanding of the system was from the economic side. So I was very much of a guy that was looking at the money printing, the devaluation of the dollar, and fractional reserve banking, all that kind of stuff. And then what happened to me is that I had life-changing surgery on my foot in 2017. So that caused a series of dominoes to fall in my life. And one thing led to another, and I ended up finding this channel called, at the time it was called The Global Witness. Now it's called The Willing Witness, with a guy called Derek Bros.
Okay,
Yeah, and I had him on my show as well. And I'm supposed to do another show with him as well. So anyway, what happened is that he started to talk about not everything on the spiritual side, but linking it back to the Anunnaki and stuff. So one of the things he was saying is that the God in the Old Testament and the God in the Bible in general is really what we would consider to be Satan. So at the time, I wasn't like a religious person or a Christian, but I was like, this just is too outlandish. So he started telling his listeners what books to read. So I said, you know what, I'm going to prove this guy wrong. Bought the books. And then I was like, all right, okay. So I said, all right, I'll just buy some more books. So I bought some more books, and the more I kept reading, the more I was like, all right, there's a common theme here. And it seems to be that we are a product of extraterrestrial beings. And they call themselves the Anunnaki, which is, I would say, the oldest word we have, really, because in every different sort of like people, they have different names. So, you know, the Zulus will call them the Chitari. You know, the Hopi people call them the Ant people. In the Nag Hammadi, they refer to as the fallen angels. You know, we have different terms, and the thing is that even in the Bible, you can actually they're most likely the Anakim or the Anak in the Old Testament. So what I started to realize is that a common theme where there were beings that were not from Earth, because extraterrestrial just means not from Earth, right? And they came here and they basically created us. So I started to like delve into like the religious books, mainly the Abrahamic faiths, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. And then I started to refer those back to like the Sumerian tablets and stuff. And I started to see a lot of commonalities, a lot of common themes that were there that simply you can't just explain with dogma. You can't just tell people it is this and the next, and you're not allowed to question it, because even when you look at Ezekiel's wheel, when you read it properly, it's basically a spaceship, right? And then, yeah, if you will really look at it, I can't remember the verse off the top of my head, but when you look at it, it was a chariot, and it had four wheels that were spinning, and each wheel could spin independently. And the being that was in the chariot had a head of a lion or something like that, and it had a body of brass and all these kind of things. So when you read that, that's clearly an ET,
Wow.
a spaceship. And then when you read further into the things that the Sumerian tablets, what was referred to as the Tower of Babel most likely was a spaceport for a space station, and that is found in Lebanon and Baalbek and stuff. Then when you start to go down the megalithic route, you start to see a lot of megalithic structures like Baalbek as well. That more than 100-ton block that is completely cut with tools that we don't even have the precision to cut at the moment. Then you look at the polished stone in places like Kef Kalesi, and then in Peru, and all those hard stuff, andesite. These are on the 6 and 7 hardness scale of rock. So I started to like look at all these different things together, and it was like, look, man, like no matter how they cut it, slice and dice it, the narrative that they tell us doesn't make sense. And what makes more sense is what is actually written down in the Sumerian tablets. And then you need books like the Nag Hammadi, the Lost Book of Egon, the Lost Book of Enoch.
Enoch, right?
And then, when you look into other books like the Enuma Elish, the Atrahasis, Epic of Gilgamesh, you look at the Myth of Adapa, Legend of Atana, you go down these lists of books and you're thinking, look, man, like this whole thing that the earth is 6,000 years old isn't adding up,
Right.
So I got into it basically after I had my surgery. And this guy, Derek Rose, was saying some, at the time I thought, outlandish stuff. And then as I read the books and I started to study it, I was like, this guy's got a point. So the more I started to listen to him and then research myself, I started to realize that basically the Anunnaki seem to be the top of the food chain and are the ones that are controlling the planet. But I also started to realize that these Anunnaki may just be beings that look like us, but maybe just bigger. Because the reason why I say that is that the Book of Enoch talks about fallen angels having sex with daughters of man. So the only way that a species can impregnate another species is if it's the same species. Because a dog can mate with a cat, and the cat would never have children, right? No matter how much it tries, it will never do it. A goat can make a sheep pregnant, right? So it means then that the extraterrestrial beings or the Anunnaki that I refer to have to be a similar race to us, that the genome is compatible, may just have bigger members in terms of a phallus, but clearly they fit into the daughters of man and they got pregnant. So that really makes me think, well, okay, if that's the case, well, we might actually be the extraterrestrials, and we are probably not from this earth, right? And we are probably the offspring of the Anunnaki. And the Anunnaki refer to, well, the real word is really the Anuna gods, but
Anu,
it was but more people call them the Anunnaki, but the correct word in the Sumerian tablets is the Anuna gods. Anunnaki came after.
Who was Anu? Didn't they used to worship Anu? Was that just I feel like one of the fallen angels, maybe?
So he was the head of the pantheon. So he was the base 60, because they used to use a base 60 numbering system. So he would be the equivalent of like the Father Sky, because you have the They always do. They have like three. So you had Anu, Enlil, and Enki. So it was always like this Trinity. So the Trinity that you have in Christianity has a lot of parallels to it in terms of you have a Father God, you have
So,
a Son, and then you have the Holy Spirit. So the three gods in the pantheon then merged into a Trinity for Christianity and stuff like that.
mhm.
So Anu also, well, some people say that Anu is like Uranus, Anu, Uranus, right? So Anu is actually in there. So there are a lot of different theories on where Anu is, but in if you look straightly at the tablets, he is the leader, he's the king, he's the head, right? Because they said that kingship was lowered to earth, and that's said in the Sumerian kings list, right? So they are the ones that ended up teaching us how to be rulers. And then when you get into the book of Enoch, it says that Azazel taught humanity weaponry, meteorology, and the art of war. He taught the women how to face paint and stuff. So, they came and they basically, in my humble opinion, steered humanity on the wrong path. And this is one of the reasons why I think that we are where we are today.
What's the connection with the Anunnaki and the Nephilim? I know there's a connection there.
So the Nephilim appear to be the children of the Anunnaki. Now, some people say that the Nephilim are the Anunnaki, but if you're looking at the biblical scripture and the book of Enoch, these would be hybrids. So these would be like the equivalent of demigods from the Greek pantheon, right? And because they were half god, they would have attributes of the Anunnaki as well. Because when you look at the Epic of Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh was 2/3 god. So his father was a god, an Anunnaki, and his mother was a half. So he was a 2/3, right? And he ended up going on a quest to search for divinity, which is the equivalent to the hero's journey. So when people talk about you going on a hero's journey, that allegory comes out of the Epic of Gilgamesh, right?
Oh, shit.
So the Nephilim would have been the equivalent of demigods, and some of them were on the side of humans, some of them were on the side of the Anunnaki. You know how it goes. And basically they were trying, the ones that were trying to go against their fathers, there was a war between the two factions to try to basically kill out each other. So this is why we have a lot of war in our DNA, in our consciousness, because they're the ones that brought the war, and we became the offspring then of them, and then the descendants. And what we do today, all we do is go to war. Is the consciousness, right?
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Now,
It's almost like,
go ahead, Mike.
would it be like the Anunnaki, like prison planet in a sense?
Well,
with all that's going on.
It does feel like it's a prison planet, to be honest. And what I see is that we are being slow walked into a totalitarian system, because when you go back to the text, they created us, according to them, to be slaves. Because when you look back at the Sumerian tablets, what happened is that there was a caste system even amongst the Anunnaki. So the Anunnaki are the royal bloodline. These are the judges, the rulers and stuff, right? So you can look at the Anunnaki as monarchy, heads of state, religious leaders. These are the quotation marks elect, right? So those are the equivalent of the Anunnaki today, central bankers included. And then the Igigi or Igigi, whichever way you want to pronounce it, will be equivalent as us, the blue collar workers, right? The ones that are the electricians, the plumbers, the teachers, the nurses, etc. So what happened is that the Igigi came here to work, to volunteer to work to help their planet, because the story is that their planet was having problems with its atmosphere, and they came here to mine resources to try to fix the planet.
Wasn't it
The work-
gold? They were looking
Yes.
mining gold. Yeah.
Yeah, and other resources as well. So they volunteered to work. The work was extremely hard, and after a few thousand years, they were like, "Nah, bro, we're not doing this anymore." So they went to go to war with the Anunnaki, and then Enki had a brilliant idea. He says, "Look, all is not lost. There's a primitive species on the planet, and we can engineer that species to be workers." And their plan was to have it just smart enough to be able to take instructions, but not too smart that it would be able to think for itself. Anyway, what happened in the process is that Enki, like, he started to fall in love with the project of making us, because there were many experiments that they did to try to create a finished product, right? The being that we are now. And then one day it worked. And what happened is that Enki fell in love with us, and he was like, you know what? They shouldn't just be slaves. Let's give them the choice of determining their own destiny. And Leo was like, nah, bro, stick to the plan. They're slaves. They're just workers. They're dumb, creatures. So through the back door, what Enki was doing is giving us more and more consciousness with every sort of like version. And then what happened is that we ended up getting really smart, and then we started to want to go to war with them, which is what I was touching on in terms of the demigods or the Titans and the Olympians and stuff, right? That story. So what happened then is that they ended up, realizing they made a mistake. Well, they blame Enki. They say that basically they made a mistake, giving us too much sense, and some texts say that they caused the flood. Other texts say that it was a natural occurrence. Regardless, there was a flood. And what happened is that humanity had a restart. And when they restarted humanity, they dumbed us down a little bit, because they were like, nah, mate, these guys are getting too smart. They'll be better than us. And let's just subsequently keep them down as much as we can. So the prison planet system was created because the first version was too smart, living too long, and flourishing and doing well. Because if you go back to the part in the Bible, it said that man used to speak one language. And when you speak one language, it means that you can share consciousness, you can share information, you can teach one another. Because, like, for example, this conversation tonight is English. Suppose to have Russian lads, they can listen to this conversation because they don't speak English, we don't speak Russian, right? So what they did is they systematically changed the languages to confuse us. And it actually says in the Bibles, let us confuse man so that he no longer should speak one language. Now, I ask people this question: would a loving God say, let us confuse man?
Not
Right.
even close.
Not even close. So this is why Derek Bose was saying that the God in the Bible is Satan, right? And this is why I was like, that threw me until I went and looked for myself. And I was like, yeah, I concur, because one of the biggest challenges that people have is the attributes of God. So this is how I like to ask this question. So if we were to have two set up an equal measurement of scales, so if we were to say that a person that has good thoughts, speaks good words, and does good things, would we say that that's a good person or a bad person?
Good person. You would think a good person.
All right. So that means then on the flip side, if a person has negative thoughts, speaks negative things, and does negative things, would that be a good person or a bad person?
Bad person if they're doing the negative things.
Okay, good. So we have some good skills set out here. So then, can we agree that an apple tree can't bear oranges?
Correct.
Of course.
Okay, good.
Correct.
So we've got equal measurements of scale here. So if a god tells his people to go and murder, rape, and kill another set of people, are those actions good actions?
Oh,
Bad
no, of course
actions.
not. Of course not.
They're
Good.
bad actions, yeah.
Good. So, according to religion, would that be a good God or a bad God?
Bad.
Good.
Bad guy.
Make a guess which God asks his people to carry out those actions.
Jesus.
The good one.
The God that they
The
say
good
is God.
one.
Yeah, but if the good
Yeah.
God is telling people to go and do bad things, well, guess what? Well, he can't be good. He's Satan. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy thought.
But
Wow.
yeah,
And
that's the challenge,
and
right?
it's kind of yeah, and it's kind of crazy too. Like no matter what religion you talk to, they say the same thing about the Bible. It's a fallacy. Every single religion agree on one thing.
Kill, murder,
Crazy.
rape, pillage, and fear, right? So
Fear.
it is a very difficult concept for any religious person to look at their books and accept that the story that we've been told that there's a God and a devil, a God and Satan, right? And that
Mm.
God is all loving and merciful. That's what they tell us. But yet still, when you go back to the Old Testament, this God that is supposed to be the God of the world, the God of the universe, the creator of all things, he's telling us to go and smite the Midianites, go and smite people out of their land. And the thing is, right, is that you can go to places like Judges 21:10, rape, murder, and pillage at Jabesh. You have kill non-believers in Second Chronicles 15:12-13. Then when you look at Islam, you've got stuff like, I would love to be martyred in Allah's cause and then get resurrected and then martyred again and then get resurrected again and then martyred again and then get resurrected again and get martyred again. Sahih Bukhari 2797, right? So this is not just like Christianity, right? This is
All of
this
it.
is all of it, right? So my point is that if God is telling us to do these acts and we're following it, then we're being led astray, right? So we're
Mhm.
guilty and ignorant at the same time
It
because
kind
we're
of goes back to what you said, what they wanted to do though, with changing the languages. All these different
yeah.
scriptures and different languages are having the same thing, but they're trying to confuse the shit out of us along the way.
Well,
Of course,
this
they are.
is
Even
it.
the English language is confusing.
Absolutely. So
That
my
makes
take on
sense.
it, no, it doesn't make sense. So my take on it is that we are a product of different extraterrestrial beings. Those beings fight amongst themselves for total domination, because what it appears to be is that they amongst themselves agree that humans are to be slaves. However, because they are fighting amongst themselves for total domination, and a good explanation of this is like Lord of the Rings, they're fighting for the ring of Sauron, right? They will fight, they will come together to fight against us when we push back against them. But when we've been pushed back a certain way, then they'll go back fighting against one another. And well, again, there's no honor amongst thieves, is there? So they'll come together to fight us when we start winning. And then when they push us back and we get a bit weak, then they go back fighting against each other because they want total domination. So
Sounds
as a
familiar.
result, what happens is that we humans, we continue just fighting all the time and keep believing in a lot of like fear porn, like if I don't go and kill this other lad over there, then he's gonna come and take my land and XYZ, and then that person that was killed comes over to kill my family because I killed their family, and then because that other person killed my family, they go to avenge the other person's family. So it just creates this complete cycle of killing all the time, right? And what Yeshua was saying is like, guys, like all my father wants is mercy, and mercy means
Mm.
forgiveness, right? So put away your swords, stop fighting, realize that there are things out there that are trying to lead you astray, entities, beings, whatever you want to say, use, and look, love one another, come together, and realize that we're being tricked. But most people can't even come to common ground to realize that we're being tricked. So all we do is we fall for psyops and we keep fighting each other,
Mm-hmm.
It's funny too when I say the same thing to people all the time. Like when I see people bickering online, I'm like, dude, just love each other. Stop with the nonsense. And they're like, oh, you're one of those. It's like, yeah, I would love for everybody to be one of those, because once we start stop fighting with one another, they stop winning.
But you know the mad thing about even that statement, right? Is that say if we're one of those, in reality, we're just one race of people, you know. We're not really
Yeah.
different races, you know. Because
Yeah,
if we were
exactly.
different races, we wouldn't be able to procreate amongst the different color skin. You know? I like to say that human beings are like dogs. Let me explain what I mean by that. A chihuahua could get pregnant from a Doberman, technically, right? I don't know what the baby would look like, but it's a dog, right? It can get pregnant, right?
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
So we may have different color skin. Some of them will be taller, some of them be shorter, but we can get each other pregnant, right? So that means we're the same race, right? We're the same species.
Yeah,
So this is why I say
absolutely.
humans are like dogs in that sense. We're like, a dog can never get a cat pregnant, no matter how much it tried, no matter how much effort it put in. It will never happen because it's a different species, a different race. So only dogs can get dogs pregnant. Humans can only get humans pregnant. Facts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're no different. We just think we're different because we're told that. But just because we're told something doesn't mean it's true, right? And
Absolutely.
look what happened during the pandemic. They locked us all down. Whether you were black, white, Indian, Chinese, you had money or no money, everybody was locked down.
Everybody.
So what that means, that there's a higher group of people or entities or an energy that is controlling this planet that is basically want to make slaves, and we are the slaves, right? And my personal opinion is that is the Anunnaki that are doing it, or the Anuna gods, right? That's my opinion, but I can't see. Pardon?
Because I was going to ask, do you think, because you said a quote earlier about you want people working, not thinking, right? The Rothschild has that same quote. Could he be Anunnaki? Because he says he wanted a nation of workers, not a nation of thinkers. That's why he built schools.
So what it looks like is that the Rothschilds are part of the elite families. So what I have found is that there are 3 levels of 13 families that rule the planet lock, stock, and barrel. And the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers are level 2. And their families like the Aldobrandini, the Breckspear, the Samagli, the Orsini, the Medici, the Borgia. These are all Italian families. So these are what we call the black nobility. These families are never talked about, are always unseen, and they're the ones that own the planet. Now, if you do a little bit of research, you will see that the Rothschild family married into the Aldobrandini, not the other way around. I would think it was the French Rothschild that married Lady, I think her name is Lady Aldobrandini, right? Or princess or something like that, right? I think it was in the 70s from memory. So what it looks like is that when the Anuna gods came here and they mixed their DNA with humans, the offspring is basically their progeny. And when they went behind the scenes, they left their progeny to rule the planet. And then that progeny separated itself into different levels of rulership or governance. And the Rothschilds, so people like the Collins and all those people like Hillary Clinton, all those people, all those will be like level 3. So the politicians and the aristocrats and stuff, they're like level 3, heads of state. And then like the monarchy of England and Sweden and all those other places will be like level 2. And then those families that I call, they're like the level 3.
So who would be the level 1?
I would say the Anuna gods are the level 1.
Oh,
that pantheon. And then on top of that, I think it's the negative energy that they worship, because there has to be something negative. There has to be some negative energy that they worship. And my opinion, and there's no 100, I don't have proof of this, but from enough reading, it looks like if the negative energy is coming from Saturn, right?
Black cube.
Yes, or it was also called the black sun, right? So there's a lot of circumstantial evidence, but there's no 100% proof. But when you read enough and you do enough research, you see the correlations with symbology and all that kind of stuff. and it appears that the negative energy is coming from the planet Saturn, and that energy is beamed into the moon, and the moon is a transport station for this. Is a transport station for that energy, which is what
Energy.
creates the false light here on Earth, which is why we only see one side of the moon, right? And the moon is not even the moon is it looks like a hologram with that is a abandoned Death Star, abandoned spaceship or something like that, because it's hollow, right? And we know that
Yeah.
because when they dropped the probe, they said it rung like a bell. And there's conversations that have been leaked that basically we've been told never to go back to the moon again, because, or at least to the dark side of the moon, because there's extraterrestrial activity behind there, right? So it really is it's really fascinating to see that this energy, because everything is energy really, and this way say that it looks like the energy is coming from there, the Anunnaki are the ones under, and then the black nobility, and these three levels of 13 are the ones that are really controlling the planet, because it's theirs, they own it, they control everything.
Yep, and that's why they try to. When also those powerful families, they all marry within, and they try to keep that bloodline strong.
Correct.
I've also heard part of the reason we invaded Iraq or Iran, I forget which one specifically that we went into, not only for the financial system of it, but Hillary was looking for Gilgamesh. Do you think that was to find the true bloodline?
I think is actually to find the Stargate, because it seems that there was a Stargate in Iraq that allows for interdimensional travel. So when
I
you
heard that too.
so there's Stargates in Egypt and Bolivia, where you have like this door, and then they call it false doors, right? And there seem to be these portals that the beings could come in and out, because there's a legend. I can't remember if it's the Quechua people in up there by Lake Titicaca, where they say that one day priest, he basically put on an object and he walked through the door and never came back, right?
Oh,
And there are legends all over the world, including in Japan and everything like that, of people just coming in and out, and it's very it appears that they were looking for this, because, and also like ancient technology for weaponry and stuff. It seems that the Americans were looking for the government, or I should say the shadow government, because the American government don't know what is really going on. It's the shadow government that really rule things, So
Yeah.
that's one theory that has been put out there, that I would say the stuff that we think is kind of like fiction is looking to be more real than not,
Always is.
100%. I
The
love portals,
conspiracies, the conspiracy theorists are more and more right every day as the calendar ticks by, and it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. Yeah, because the Gilgamesh thing was I always heard that one. The Stargate, I do recall hearing that. What was my other question I had for you? Oh, the Watchers. Now, are basically the Anunnaki and the Watchers the same thing? Because I also on Mount St. Helen, they had like 212 seats. That's to account for the fallen angels, and the Watchers, if I'm remembering correctly.
So according to the book of Enoch, the Watchers would be equivalent to the Ajiji. So they are the ones that were based on Mars. So the Sumerian tablets calls them the Ajiji, and they were under the leadership of Marduk on the Mars way station, because Mars was a way station that they would transport stuff to and from, and it looks like those are the same beings. So what it is now is that the Anunnaki, or the Anuna gods, is just the bloodline, because the Anunnaki is supposed to mean the bloodline of Anu, the royal bloodline of Anu. So this would be, like I said, these will just be the aristocrats. These are the heads of state, the monarchy and stuff. So the humans, right? Those leaders and prime ministers and presidents but we are humans as well, but we're just the blue collar workers. So it was a more of a class thing where the Anuna gods, aka the Anunnaki, are the ruling class, and the Ajiji, which would be the watchers, are like the blue collar workers. These are the ones that do the work, the manual labor and stuff. So they would be the same race, but just a different class, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yep, I get what you're saying. Yep. So basically, you're coming down, and then I feel like, am I right though? It was Mount St. Helen where they have, like, for the World Economic Forum, I believe it is, or something like that, where there's like 212 seats to account for the number of watchers, aka fallen angels, that came down.
Well, I thought it was
Yeah,
200. I thought it was 200 fallen angels, because and Semyaza was the leader of the
It could
fallen
be.
angels.
I could be. I don't know why I got 212, but yeah, you're probably 100% right.
Yeah,
For whatever reason, I said
Yeah, that's that
that's really
Switzerland thing they do where they build the fake city.
What's that?
Like in Switzerland, I think.
Well, you mean when they're doing Davos?
I'm not sure what that means.
What are you talking
Davos?
about, Mike?
No, because
What are you talking
talked
about?
about the World Economic Forum. They have a meeting once a year. It's like somewhere.
yeah,
in
in Davos,
Switzerland or
in Davos, Switzerland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Davos. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what
Similar
you're
to the
talking
World
about.
Fair back in the day, right? Where they just build it up and take it all down.
Mhm.
Well, the thing is, they thought it was built up, but I think that was a lie. I think those things had already existed, and I think that it was an excuse. Actually, no, let me phrase that. I think that what they did is when they say they demolished it because it was already there, because it would have proved that we had ancient technology of stonemasonry and building that far exceeds what we have now. And because they wanted to keep humanity in a bubble and with blinders on, they destroyed it, because it would cause people to ask too many questions on, well, how are these things being created when we only using bricks and mortar? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because if you look at all these old cathedrals and everything like that, we can't build them like that anymore.
No.
No.
Nope.
This is why construction is stopped, because that cathedral that is in Spain has been under construction for what? How many years?
Right.
I mean, I can't remember, but it's just not finished, and I don't think it will ever finish, because it appears that we've lost the technology on how to do the stonemasonry like that.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, they can't
I
remake the
agree.
pyramids.
No, they can't.
No.
Mm.
No,
They
I was
can't.
just
There's
in
a
New
lot of
York.
buildings in Chicago. Like
Yeah.
you can see like all the old buildings in Chicago, and you're looking at them in the stone, and you're like, "There's no way we built that," because across the street, some cheap skyscraper made out of aluminum and steel. You know,
Exactly.
it's just
Exactly.
crazy to see where it's gone.
Yeah, especially like I was just in New York City, and you were just walking around. I was actually down at the courthouse. Shout out to the cop who didn't hand in the ticket, so I got off. And I'm looking at the buildings, and they're just immaculate. And you look at these structures, and you're like, "There's no way people built these. Like, there's just no possible way." And like the doorways, they're 30 feet high. Who was walking through there? You know what I mean? The Nephilim and everybody else. It wasn't us. I'm 6'2". I walked through there just fine. You know, it's
You can't
crazy.
even open that door.
No.
But when you look at it, right, these Anuna gods gave us this technology and skill to build like that. And when you look at all over the world, Japan, you have in Indonesia, Cambodia, you have pyramids over there. You have pyramids in Mexico. You have pyramids in Guatemala. You have pyramids in Egypt. All the construction is exactly the same, right? We can't build like that anymore. When you look at some of the stone masonry, very, very polished and finished. You're talking about polishing andesite and basalt. These are 6 and 7 on the hardness scale of rocks. This isn't just granite. This is harder than granite, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
these stones are polished, and the finish looks like if a laser cut it, right?
Yep.
So these Anuna gods had the technology, they taught us, and it looks like they went in different parts of the world, because you have pyramids and temples in India And there's one temple in Sri Lanka as well that is cut out of the actual bedrock stone. Like,
They say
we
there's one in
can't.
the Grand Canyon. Is that true?
I believe that. I believe that
Yeah.
So do I.
because there was this guy that just before they closed the Grand Canyon that he went and documented. He found stuff that from basically Egyptian texts and cuneiform tablets and stuff. How is that possible when United States and the Middle Eastern region are separated by an ocean? It means then that these people either flew or sailed or teleported or wished away with
Bingo.
their mind something. They cause these things to go from one geographical location to the next.
Yep.
According to mainstream science, we were Neanderthals and we didn't have that knowledge. So
Right.
I think that the case for the Anuna gods being a global sort of like influence is very much there, because all the tales have very, very similar stories that, you know, I mean, we were saved by them and they taught us.
What do you think they, if they built the pyramids, what do you think they used the pyramids for? An energy source of some sort, or?
I would say that it's probably for multiple reasons, because what we do know is that it is an energy device. And also with energy, if you manipulate the sound, you can have sound frequency healing, right? Because we know that because the locals there in Egypt, they said that their forefathers used to use the pyramid as a healing device, and they used to use sound. And what used to happen is any ailment that you had, you would go into the pyramid, they would tune forks to the frequency to heal you, and they would hit the forks and the song would heal you. And that's what their local stories hand down from generation by mouth say, that so that's why I say I think it was an energy device. I think it was a healing device. I think it was also a navigation device, in the sense that when these Anuna gods were coming and going, it was a big enough object to see to locate where to land. I also think it was a communication device in the sense of transmitting information and signals and messages to other planets, right? Because we do know that these pyramids are aligned with
astrology, with all
Orion.
Orion's belt.
Orion. So what that means then is that it could be quite possible that they could be transmitting messages from one planet to the next with that. Because if they're aligned, it means they have to be in tune in some form or fashion, whether it is energy, whether it is in terms of harmonics, in terms of the position on the earth, everything like that. And every single pyramid is built in the ones in Mexico, the ones in China, and the ones in Egypt are all in the line of Orion's belt. So that can't be a coincidence. That's not a coincidence, right?
Definitely not.
Dude, that makes so much sense. And they already have the knowledge they're coming from up there already. So they already have the knowledge of the solar system and how to map things out. So that's basically their guide system up there. So they mapped it out to be able to communicate. Oh, wow. That makes so much sense. And that makes sense how they knew what those stars meant and how to use them to navigate and everything else. Wow. Mind blown right there. That's wow. That makes so much fucking sense.
So that's why I think the pyramids served multiple reasons, and it is not just one thing. Because also what is being found now is that, I think last year it was, or maybe it was earlier this year, they found these like underground chambers, and these were like coils. So
pillars,
it was definitely energetic. And then they have other people out there saying that was basically a hub for the Christic consciousness that was lowered from the heavens or from the higher realms into earth, and that was one of the sort of like hubs that would transmit the signal all on Earth. So when Earth was at a higher level, because they say that Earth at its highest level would be the 13th level, and that was Aramata, and that consciousness was lowered down all the way down, and those pyramids would have been the original Christic consciousness from Earth at its highest level, and then after the fall, it was subsequently lowered lower and lower and lower and lower until now. Well, basically today in this third dimensional existence, there's no purpose. It doesn't use because we've lost our connection with the stars and our connection with the Christic consciousness, and we've lost connection with source. We've lost connection with ourselves, right? So we just basically worship ourselves now, you know? Like if you just look on social media, what do people do? Just post a lot of pictures of themselves and just worship themselves, you know?
It's so true.
It is.
Do you think that all changed when the black nobility took over and like they kind of started rewriting scripture and pulling like the Book of Enoch out of the scripture and stuff like that, to where, and they just, like Mike said earlier, had us in the mindset of I want thinkers, I want workers, not thinkers. Do you think that's when it really started to change?
No, I think it starts further back. I think that it starts from when they had the first flood, because, and the reason why I say that is that when you look at the lifespan of the people that were living, so you had like Alulim, right? He ruled for many thousands of years, and so the first being was Alulim. He ruled for 8 shars, 28,800. Then you had Alang Hagar, 36,000. And the last ruler was Ubara Tutu. He ruled for 18,600 years. And he was the father of Gilgamesh, right? So he was the father of Noah, Utnapishtim, or also known as Zayasudra, right? After that flood, you can see that the lifespan of humans significantly was shorter, maximum 1,500 years. So my take is that the biblical stories come from after the flood, right?
Okay.
Because you had Methuselah that was living for 969 years, which is still in line with the age range of when they had the first reset. The maximum was 1,500, right? And even Gilgamesh is on that Sumerian king's list. And I think from memory, he ruled for 126 years, right? So my point is that after we started to get really smart and the flood came, the first one, because there's actually more than one flood in the Bible. So when I look at the tea leaves, it looks like if the flood that was in the Bible is referring to the flood in the Sumerian tablets, and the Garden of Eden is when they reset humanity and they set it up now to be more of a slave system. So the first set of humans, they ruled, those 8 immortal kings, what they called them, they ruled for 241,200 years. So I, looking at that, I reading the tea leaves as they started to systematically dumb us down after 241,000 years, and then they manipulated our DNA. So what they did is that when they reset humanity, they capped our telomeres and they fused chromosome 2. And we know this from medical science today because humans share 98% of all primates and chimps. And when you look at their DNA sequence, they have a 2-strand of 24 chromosomes. So which means it's 48. Humans are the only ones that have 23 because one of them is fused, which is chromosome 2. I don't know why it's chromosome 2, but I looked at the DNA sequence myself. You can see it's fused. They also capped our telomeres. So what those things are responsible for is capping our lifespan, limiting cell regeneration, because after I think the age of 25, we stop producing high levels of collagen. We stop producing high levels of having cell regeneration. So this is why after 25, you don't unless you do a lot of diet and exercise, you tend to look older and age or mature, you know, after like the age of 25 because there's a DNA alteration. What is very funny about that is that medical science has shown that the fusion of chromosome 2 and the capping of the telomeres is an artificial um what's the word I'm looking for? Evolution, right? It was not a natural evolution of the species. It was done externally, or basically it was done on purpose. It was not naturally occurring. And they said that that is about 200,000 years ago.
Wow.
Now, what is 50,000? What is 40,000 years between friends, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my point is that if science is saying that it is about 200,000 years and the genetic modification through the ages of them living is 241,200 years, I am saying that it is most likely that then was when all the shenanigans really started to systematically dumb us down. So about 200 years, 200,000 years, sorry, they've been at work trying to get us to this point where we worship AI now. We worship movie stars and celebrities, right? We having people that gonna be lining up to buy these Android sex dolls, right? Like we have massive sim culture in the world, right? They took 200,000 years to get us here, right?
Yeah.
And they have us right where they want us. So that's why I say
Right
that
where
I
they
don't
want us.
think that it started just with the black nobility. I think this started from 200,000 years ago after the flood and the receded earth, and they're like, no, these humans, they're too smart. Let's just like confuse them and take advantage of them and make them slaves. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. And now is a absolute vampiric system that we live in, you know?
It is.
Mm.
It truly is.
So, do you think before we close out, do you think we are going to ever get visited by the Anu gods in the near future, or any kind of extraterrestrial beings? I mean, they're talking about it in the news now. You know, seeing the UAPs and that whole
Three Eye
time.
Atlas coming at us. Is that a-
What are your thoughts on that whole? And not necessarily just the Anunnaki and Anu gods, but extraterrestrials in general.
I absolutely believe that we are going to be visited, and I'm going to call it on your show. I think it's going to happen from 2026.
Oh shit! Okay.
I could be
Really?
wrong. I could be wrong, but the reason why I say that is that if you look at how fast things are developing, and I'm going to give you the reason why I say that, AI is going to eat everything from next year. So let me break down, because I only recently learned some things I'm going to share with you right now. Right now in China, and China are the most advanced in AI, bar anyone else. They now are able to replace chefs, tilers, painters. They don't need those skills anymore, right?
Nope.
Now, let's break this down. If we have blue collar jobs being replaced, now doctors, lawyers, accountants, clerks, people that enter data entry, gone, right? AI is going to do that because I know a guy that he said that he has a mate that he went to court and he didn't have a lawyer. He used AI and he basically fed the entire case into the AI and he beat it. So,
Oh shit!
It's crazy.
what is going to happen is that as AI, because what people don't realize that AI is improving every 3 months, you know. You ain't see how fast these upgrades are coming out. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we have now these blue collar jobs being taken out, skilled jobs like doctors, lawyers, accountants, which you have to study for. You can't just become a doctor, lawyer, and accountant without doing certification. If you don't need those anymore, and those are the high-paying jobs, right? Some of them. It means then that the job market is going to completely change into robotics and AI. Then what's going to happen is that you're going to put people out of work. Then now the OnlyFans models, they're going to get their breakfast eaten as well, because the androids are going to come. So the men that are complete simps are going to buy those, and they can stop going to these AI models. And then talking about AI models, they have AI models that produce the OnlyFans content. So even the human models are going to get eaten up because they can't produce the content fast enough, right? So if they can't produce the content fast enough and can't have all these conversations at the same time, it means then the AI is going to eat them. So if you take prostitution, because that's basically digital prostitution, and throw that profession under the bus, whether you like it or not, it's the oldest profession, you throw that under the bus, they're disenfranchised. Skilled workers, disenfranchised. What that means then is that you have a recipe for unrest, crime, and violence. So what you do is that you give people universal basic income. That would be in the form of a central
Pay
bank digital
attention,
currency.
Anthony. Agenda 2030, my friend.
Yes. So what they're going to do then is that they're going to have a recipe to be able to introduce UBI through a CBDC. Then what it is that we're going to just be in our homes on screens. But what's going to happen then is that there are going to be people that are still going to be pushing back. So because they're always going to be rebels, the only thing to really light a fire under humanity's ass is extraterrestrials. That's the only thing that will scare us shitless to go and accept chips in our brain, accept more jabs, accept the UBI, accept all of this and that, because these Anunnaki, these Anuna gods are going to be our quotation mark saviors. The governments are going to say, don't worry, they're our friends. They've been working with them from God knows how long, but they're our friends. They have the solution. And then you can see these heads starting to bow down and worship them. And because they can be doing magnificent things, and because they've been given loads of handouts, guess what? We can start worshiping, and then boom, we're cooked. Right. So that's what I think, that we may not get like a full disclosure, but I think we're gonna start to see a more revelation that's going to make people start talking about it, because ultimately they're seeding our consciousness for it. All the movies, everything. I saw they just brought out a new Avatar movie, right? I'm gonna have to watch that to see what's the programming, because they're seeding our consciousness about what it is. Because movies like the Matrix series explained about the Matrix, and the Matrix is the system we live in. Avatar showed you about consciousness, because the guy transferred his consciousness from one body to the next, right? And that is what is taught about in other tablets, right? Transferring of consciousness from one body to the next. And reincarnation is in Hinduism. So that concept of having an avatar body and transferring consciousness is already understood. So my point is that they're mixing all of these things together really tightly, but artificial intelligence is going to be very, very important for them, because when you put people out of work, and fathers can't feed their families, mothers can't even prostitute themselves to feed their families, what are you forced to do? Just accept the system, right? Take your jabs, take your chips, eat bugs, say that these beings are your god, and you'll be fine, right?
Own nothing and like
Everything
it.
we've been.
Right. But the only way to
And
get us to that scary point is extraterrestrials.
yeah, I agree. Because if you look at it now, like, and I've been trying to tell Anthony about Agenda 2030, and like, Elon Musk came on and said, like, by 2033, no human will have a job.
Okay,
And
then. Okay,
if
then.
you look, and it's kind of happening. So if you look at like Amazon, they've fired thousands of workers and they've replaced them with robots.
Yes.
Container ships, ports. Remember when they had that huge strike like a few months ago? The ports people had a
Last
huge
year,
strike.
Yeah.
So guess what they did? Now they have robots and they have AI vehicles per se that do all the lifting. They move around, grab the containers, put them on boats, take them off boats. So it's already started.
Even all even all the minimum wage jobs. You got all the fast food places. You go in. What do you order on now? You order on a computer screen.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like 1 or 2 people working at the place instead of
Grocery stores, it's all
dozen.
self checkout.
Self checkout.
And
Yep, they're all.
In China, McDonald's has robots, arms that make your
Yeah.
order. They're not even employees.
But dude, it is insane in China, right? So you can literally get stuff delivered from the pharmacy, Mackie D's, Burger King, whatever you want. You can get delivered by drones and stuff. Like
Yeah, and they're starting
literally, you don't even need to go anywhere. And the thing is, right, is that the AI is so smart over there, dude. If you spit on the floor, you just get credit taken out your bank account and stuff like that, because they have you facial recognition and all that. Dude, it is insane. It's on steroids, right? So, and the
that's
thing
what
is that
digital ID, and that's what digital
Yes.
ID is all going to be all about.
yeah, because you ever heard of WeChat?
No.
Yeah, I've heard
Okay.
of it. I never used it. Yeah.
So
Never used
WeChat is the Chinese social media app, where it is a banking app, it's a social media app, and it's a messenger app all in one. And the thing is, right, is that the Chinese government has access to WeChat, so they can actually see all your messages. So if you want to transfer money, Samsung Pay, Apple Pay, normal bank transfer, you don't need to do that. Just transfer it through WeChat. And like, instead of using WhatsApp, just talk on WeChat. You know what I mean? And you have your digital ID and all of this stuff linked in there. So what happens is that if you say have a misdemeanor equivalent in the United States, you jaywalking or something like that, right? Misdemeanor. Then they actually take off points from your sort of account because you have a social credit score, like a literal score. And then if you say bad things about the Chinese Communist Party and WeChat, you get more points docked. So it is an insane level of control that Chinese people have over their citizens. Have you ever and there's an experiment for you. If you have a friend that's Chinese that was born over there, ask them what they think about the CCP. I bet you most of them are going to be too scared to say anything. And if you try to press them, they will be very nervous. Furthermore, if they were to say anything on camera, they wouldn't do it because
Never do it.
back in China, their people get roughed up and stuff, man. They come for them and put them in concentration camps and re-education camps and stuff. So it's a really draconian system to have over there. And I would say that China is the testing ground to perfect the technology, the consciousness that they want to export to the world. Because the Chinese people are followers, they're beat down people, man. They're still like slaves like us, we think we have more freedom than them, but in reality we don't, because when the pandemic was here, you said anything bad online about the government, guess what they did? They came for you. You couldn't even have a coffee on the beach. You know what I mean? They would put you in, they would come for you, right? So we're just as much slaves as the Chinese. So we need to realize that we're all in the same place, we're all in the same system, we're all the same people under bondage.
Yeah, look at Canada with the truckers.
Yeah.
People who donated to the truckers were getting their accounts locked up and shit. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Since China went social credit score, since they've done the social credit system and the digital ID, homelessness has gone up 20% in China.
I believe that. And they have an
you get
epidemic.
desocialized.
I was gonna say, or is that the people that
are fighting back
and pushing back, and they say, you know what, I would rather be homeless than having you control me.
I mean, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because they can control you or see you through anything, anywhere. Like they're like in the what it says, like what this eye can see is not private. So
they're watching every movie you make.
Yeah, of course. Like, someone was late to work too many times, and they shut your bank account down. Now you can't pay rent. Now you're on the street.
That's crazy.
Insane. Crazy.
Sad.
Like,
I hope the day
you're only allowed 6 hours a day. It's nuts.
I think there will be way too much pushback in the States. I don't know, Mike. I just don't see it happening here, but we'll
Too many
see.
hope that's-
brainwashed, brother. Too many brainwashed.
And honestly, there is way too many brainwashed out there. But I hope,
Too many.
hopefully that
They-
Second
they fall
Amendment
into it.
keeps people in check.
Still not
All right,
enough though. Everybody who carries the Second Amendment, like say, like you got those us hillbillies, like people like to call us in Florida, and people in Texas. That's still not enough.
Mm,
I got a question for you then.
yes.
In your cities, do y'all still see people wearing masks every now and then?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right now, because it's in flu season and I'm in a lot of grocery stores for my job, it is actually up about 75% right now. There's people all over the place with masks on,
Good.
all over.
Good. So the reason why I asked that question is, for me, the amount of mask wearers that you have in your geographical location is a litmus test of the level of consciousness of the people in your area.
Yep.
So if you see people in 2025 still wearing a mask, I think that's a very good litmus test of the people that will take the chip, the next jab, and buy the next psyop to enslave them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. Get that Elon Musk chip, everybody. Go ahead.
Yep.
Dummies.
There's a lot of people. New York is obviously a blue state, man. They buy into everything, man.
It's weird
Yeah.
too, like the most like brain if you go by geological theory on the masks, then the most brainwashed are what people call Democrats, I guess, right? Because Chicago's heavy in masks, California's heavy in masks.
And then
New York
You
City.
know, like the most. I mean, Florida has them. I mean, we even had guys who wore a mask and then a shield in front of them. But there's no. Yeah, Florida's different. They ride around.
I think you see it. I think
themselves.
I mean, they're just populated cities. I think anywhere you go, you're going to see people in masks. You know what I mean? If you go to the grocery store,
I could
you're
never
out.
live like that. When I go down there to do the Christmas, like people just living on top of each other like that. Like it's fun to go down and haha for a weekend, but get me the hell out of there, man. I could never live like that lifestyle. That's crazy.
The only reason I would wear a mask in New York City is because the fucking city smells so bad sometimes.
Nonchalantly, New York is cooked. It's pretty much
it's bad.
It is.
So Todd, real quick, I was looking on your Instagram a little bit before we jumped on, and I also know you do some coaching. I want to hit on this, some coaching with it looks like some fitness. You do a bunch of other stuff. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So on the day-to-day, I am a fitness coach. Although I'm a fitness coach, I would say I'm more like a life coach at the same time, because I don't just believe in coaching the body. I coach the mind and I help you to find your spirit. So I'm very much of a holistic coach, which is all about the mind, body, spirit connection, because I realize that getting into shape isn't just doing exercise and eating less. It's actually a change of mindset, because in order to get in shape, you have to have certain habits and you have to have certain beliefs about yourself. The only way to change those habits and have a certain belief on yourself is to work on your mindset. Now, when you work on your mindset, isn't something that you can turn on and off. It's something that just is. So if you believe that you're a failure, you will fail and you will never be successful in the fitness journey. So what I do is that I help people to hack their minds. I help them create a plan of action in terms of getting into shape mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I give them help them to create habits so that they would be able to create a positive feedback loop system. So what I learned during the pandemic and also in my own journey is that the reason why the pandemic worked really well was one simple technology: repetition. So every single day they repeated, you are going to die unless you get jabs, right? Every day they repeated it. So what I do with my coaching is that I reverse engineered that technology of repetition to create a positive feedback loop system through giving my clients habits to do. So one of the things that I'm really big on is meditation. And I chase my clients when they don't meditate often, because When you meditate a lot, you are able to get access to your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is where all your thoughts, beliefs, and fears and traumas are stored. So when you get access to that through meditation, it means you can actually see yourself from the observer, and you can see all your patterns of behavior are coming from XYZ. So for example, if you had like a bad relationship with women, just an example, maybe you had a bad relationship with your mother, or your mother was a single mother and she treated you a certain way, so you end up like maybe not even liking women, so you treat them badly. But that wasn't really your fault. That was a story you created in your head when you were like 6, 7 years old, and that belief system has carried over into your adult life. So you end up treating women in a bad way based on a story that is not really real, that you told yourself when you were a child. So meditation gives you the power to access those sort of like feelings, emotions, and trauma and pain, and to forgive yourself, to heal that, and to move on. So this is why, like, my take is that you go through the body, you get the body moving. By when the body moving, you actually inject more energy into the body. So by injecting more energy in the body, then now it means then that you have an energy in there that you can tap into to work on yourself in terms of getting it, improving your nutrition. But where does that come from? That comes from mindset. Because instead of going and eating Cheetos, you would take time to do a meal prep, because you know that that's the thing that you should do, which comes from the belief that if I follow the plan, I know I'm going to get a result. If I don't go to the pub tonight and drink, you know what? It means that eventually I'll lose some belly fat. So this is why I maintain that mindset and meditation are really, really important, because it means then that when those two get together, then that's when you start to realize the spirit in you. So this is where now you start to like connect to your higher self, and you start to have intuition, and you start to tune into the unseen realm, because even though it's not seen, it can be felt. So this is why you hear people that talk about things like tapping into the higher self, receiving downloads. It is not something that they can put into words and explain it to you. Is only something that you can be experienced. So let me give an example. If I make a cake that tastes really, really good, I can eat the cake and tell you it tastes really, really good. You can look at the cake and say, man, that looks really tasty. But until you've had the experience of eating it, you can't say how good it is. So the experience of the download, or the connection to your higher self or to source, is something that can only be experienced and felt. But I can't tell you what it is like, because words are not good enough to explain. It is only something that can be felt. And when you meet another person that's felt it, you're like, you try to describe it, but even then words fail. So all of that is really possible when you start to get the body into shape, because what you do is have a systematic approach to it, where I recommend books for you to read depending on where you are in your journey, to help you to tap into the mighty I am, the great spirit within, the Christ, the Krishna, the Kundalini, whatever word you want to use, right? There's a spirit inside of you, and I help you to realize the spirit in you by getting into shape, giving you habits and a bunch of accountability as well. And we do that on a daily. So, anyone that is interested on going on a fitness journey, but also going mentally and spiritually, you can hit me up on Instagram at Adriano_246, or my name, Todd Cave, on Facebook, and send me a message and let's have a chat and see if you're a good fit for the Compound Body Training Army. And yeah, it's we have a lot of fun, because I'm on a mission to help as many people get into shape as possible. And the reason for that is, the more people that are in shape, the more you actually are bucking the system, because getting into shape is the biggest revolt and rebellion against the system one can do today, because you can get back autonomy of your body, because they're trying to control your body and your mind and nick your spirit through all the other sort of false religions and all that kind of stuff that they gave to us, right?
Mhm.
So I do all
Dude,
those stuff over there, man.
your transformation's pretty crazy, man. I'm looking at some of your pictures on IG, bro. You put some work in there for sure. That's crazy.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
looking
man.
at it too.
Yeah,
Shit.
man. Yeah, man. My clients, they get into really, really great shape, and like I said, we have clients from all over, and we do good work because we focus on the mindset. Because I've actually had clients that have come to me that are actually already in good shape, but they just wanted to get the mentorship on the spiritual and the consciousness side that I bring as well. Because I'm not just an average coach. I talk about these things like extraterrestrials and the Anunnaki, but I have a bunch of experience with like psychedelic medicine and just going through my own journey in terms of finding myself and overcoming a lot of fears and traumas and negative self-talk and filling myself with belief. And that's what I help my clients do as well, because we all have negative self-talk and patterns and these self-sabotage habits and stuff. And what I help people do is I help people to realize those things, because those things are the things that actually get you into shape. Exercise and diet, obviously, but that's just the surface level. When you go under the iceberg, you realize it's all of those things. And I attack those things. And once we attack those things, the 10%, which is the physique and the fitness part of it, the changing the nutrition, that comes by default once you work on the underneath part, because that is what's really running the show. Because if you tell yourself, well, I'll never get into shape, guess what? You never get into shape. If you
Mhm.
tell yourself, I can't do something, you're just saying you won't. Basically,
Right.
I can't
Right.
means I won't, right? So it's all this little programming that I help my clients with, and we never use words like I can't. We say I must, I will, I have to. You know what I mean? We don't even use the
Mm-hmm.
words try, because that's just like, it's a useless word in a sense. Like, it doesn't give any power. I can, I have to, I must, and I will. And so all these little tricks about vocabulary and stuff, I help people with and see, and that is what makes the difference in my coaching and the reason why my clients get into really, really good shape.
And
It's
that's a
awesome.
good way to roll this episode as our first episode into 2026, man. Some positive vibes, positive energy rolling into the new year. Todd, this was an awesome episode, man. We don't want to take too much more of your time. We appreciate you jumping on. We'd love to have you back on in the future. I feel like you could go for days on all different types of topics as well. So you do your podcast, The Conscious Man 7, as well.
Yes. So we have the Conscious Man 7, and we on pretty much everywhere now. It was mad, right? Like, I did a little bit of an experiment last week, and I actually typed in my name into the search engine, and I'm like, oh my goodness, they actually have like a whole bunch of a bio written on me. I was like, all right, well, that's a pretty good thing then, because the podcast is growing, and I think we've got like 112 episodes released now,
Yes.
and we have some really, really interesting guests that coming on, and we got some really good content coming out as well. So
Okay.
I'm really, really proud of that work. And part of the work that I do as well is that, like, I help people to, with overcoming fears and traumas through helping them to get things like magic mushrooms, right? And magic mushrooms have been important in my journey. And I help people to get those, and we help people all over the world, and they have good results. And I give them a protocol on how to take them and stuff like that. And you can do
Does your
microdosing.
protocol say take 9 grams?
That was me. Listen. I'm not gonna say I didn't have I mean, it was an interesting night, but no, we don't have to get into the details now. But I used mushrooms for multiple reasons. Main reason was to rewire my brain to get off of gambling addiction. I mean, I was people don't believe it, but you can have a serious gambling problem and I was blowing thousands of dollars, and I was severely depressed if I wasn't gambling. And my buddy, who was actually advocating to have it legalized here in New York State, he told me about it, told me to stay on the microdose end, kind of just, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there. But then I started Friday night macro dosing, kind of just my way of releasing my week tension, my week stress. And I basically was taking, I just wasn't I got to the point, I was doing it for a year. I
Todd,
got a little,
he was golfing with the Anunnaki, basically,
yeah,
right there.
I was, no, so no,
He was golfing with someone.
no, I was, no, I mean, you know how they say you, like when you do, I've never done the, what is the DMT and the other,
DMT?
they say like how you like
Ayahuasca?
die, ayahuasca. That's another thing where you're like, you die out, like your body, you feel like you kind of leave your body. That's how I felt when I took the 9 grams, and it was a really strong stuff. So it was kind of, it was wild.
I get you, because the last one that I did was in November. And have you ever heard of albino?
Yeah.
Those are one of the strongest
white albino. Yeah. I've heard of them.
Dude, I took 10 grams of albino, right?
Oh, okay.
And listen to me, the most profound experience I have ever had in my life. And I have done ayahuasca, I've smoked DMT, I've done bufo alvarius, peyote, and what else have I done? I've done LSD. Dude, that one on the albino, the 10 gram.
Did you leave your body also?
Dude, it was just so much information. It was like scene after scene after scene, and I was downloading stuff. I was integrating stuff for weeks, because there was so much stuff, and it really made me realize that, you know what, like, one, I'm on the right path, and two, thoughts. One of the biggest things that I got from that trip is I must be very cautious on how I think and what I say to myself. I knew all of this before, but that experience reconfirmed it to the point where I am like, all right, when certain things happen to me, I'm like, all right, I've been here before, I've overcome it. And the past, I was thinking negative about this situation. I'm not doing that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to do different. And because I'm going to do it different, then I know that I'm going to see a different result. And that was one of the biggest things that I saw, because it's very easy for us to, when times get difficult and we get a challenge, to go back to the old programming. And I'm like, no, I'm drawing a line in the sand here, and I'm breaking that pattern, right? And it is. So I wouldn't say left my body, but I had a lot of information download, and that was like the most. Because like I might have a merch store as well, right? On Amazon, it's called Todd and Me. So I've got like tank tops, hoodies, shirts, and sweats. And one of the shirts that I have there is called "Truth Isn't Learned, Truth is Realized," and that is so true, because all the stuff that I said just now is stuff that I knew, but I didn't realize it, right? So there's another level to truth. You can know truth, but until you realize it, until you have the experience where you say, oh, okay, it now makes sense. You know, they say the penny drops, right? When they took that 10-gram dose, the penny dropped for me. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to fight really, really, really hard now to control my thoughts and the words that I say to myself. And since then, I've seen some changes in myself and friendships. And
you have a little bit of like an ego death too, in a way. Kind of just like when I did that, it was just definitely don't care as much of like the little things. You know what I mean? It's so to say. It was definitely wild.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But Roger, though, we got it one of these days, man. Mike has done it many times in his life, but Roger is still
joints, buddy.
He just smokes it.
I currently microdose. I currently do microdose. regularly, I guess. Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got mushroom bars.
Yeah.
I've done the DMT experience,
Yeah. You were trying to tell me
which was
about that.
wild. Oh man, it was insane, but so amazing at the same time.
For
I'm not
anybody,
doing. Go ahead.
well, I was gonna say that the thing is, I would say that if anyone wants to try any sort of psychedelics that's never tried them, I think mushrooms is the
Mhm.
best one to start with, because you can start on microdosing and you would still get the effects, but instead of the rocket shit where it's up in a straight line and down, you would get it over time, right? Because like my mother has recently started doing microdosing as well,
Yes.
and yeah, so I'm really happy for that, because like, you know, it grows new neurons in your brain, right? And you build new neural pathways. And my mom is going to be 70, so I said to her, well, we need to start protecting the cerebral, you know, because as you get older, you know, she starts to forget things, and
Hmm.
you know, like,
Sure.
I'm trying to get my mom. Yep. Same thing. What's
yeah,
if you don't mind me asking, because my mom's 70 as well. What is a micro level that you give her that she takes?
0.2 grams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that way now there's no effect at all.
Nope.
Now there are some people, but this is like so rare, right? Really rare that you can get a full experience off of that. But I would say like 99% of the people, 0.2.
If anything, maybe you feel like you had a cup of coffee or something. You just a little
Yeah.
slight boost.
Yeah, ever so slight. Like I found like when I do microdosing, and I do it because I do it in the morning, I'm a little bit more focused on my work. I'm a little bit more with energy to for the day. I'm just that little bit more in tune with like, okay, you know, I need to speak to myself in a better way. Or if
Mm-hmm.
someone says something to me and I'm about to get like upset, I'm a little bit more like, okay, you know what? Let's think about this for a minute before we do it.
Yep.
So I found there's just that little edge more of like competence and
Hmm.
self-awareness,
Yep.
right? With the microdosing.
I'll take mine in the morning. Wake up, take mine in the morning, right before I go to work, and then I practice. I play golf, so I practice in the morning before we open. And I always stare at the sun when I feel it. Like it's not crazy like my microdose. I don't see things, but when I feel the focus and the energy coming, then I stare at the sun for a couple minutes, and it feels great. It really does. Obviously on a
Awesome.
sunny day, on a clear day, but there's that energy you get from the sun that it feels good. Helps me get the
Grounded,
day
man.
going.
Grounded.
Yep.
Yeah, man, definitely. So
Well, we
Roger,
got to
man, you can
talk.
start.
We'll talk more. I want to talk to you more about some of these mushroom excursions, because I haven't done it since. So I did that, and then I mean, I was good for months, and then I did it again in New Orleans with my wife back in September, and that was fun. But the one thing like that I tell everybody about it is it's the one I feel like I need like for the dependency and for like addiction wise, like I feel like I want weed even more than the mushroom. Like mushrooms, there's zero like dependency. Like that morning, like when I woke up the next day, I was like, I'm good for a while. Like you don't. It's just one of those things that you don't crave really. Like it's like if you're microdosing and you're doing it at a very small level, but when you're doing the macro level, it's like something you could do once and then not do it for 4 months. You know, it's just
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So what I would say to people from is like, when you do medicine, you can, especially the mushrooms, because I deal with mushrooms a lot. You can do every like 3-4 months a macro dose. So like, especially for people that have like PTSD and chronic PTSD, what you find is that if you do a macro dose, you're good for about 3 to 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
If you microdose, you will start to feel effects after a few days, you know, because but you have to come off the SSRIs first before you do it, because the two energies counterbalance each other.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, I would say that every 3 to 4 months, you can do a macros a dose, reset the brain a bit, get some more downloads, and You wouldn't need, like you were saying, Anthony, you wouldn't need to do it. You don't feel the call, oh, I did mushrooms, let's do some more. The experience is so profound and deep that you're like, all right, you know what? I need to integrate and assimilate, you know what I mean, this information, because it is so much information you see.
And then for microdosing, would you say, just real quick, would you say like some people do 5 days on, 2 days off, or they do like the 3 days on, 2 days, 3 days? What I know you do need some sort of break in between for the microdosing as well. What schedule would you say?
So I recommend 4 and 3.
Okay.
4 days on, 3 days off. So a week basically just means 4 days, right? So that way, you have to have a break from it because the brain gets accustomed to it.
Yep.
And then you would need to take higher and higher levels in order to get the same effect. So 4 and 3, and yeah, man, you just have this little bit extra pep in your step with it,
Yeah.
And there's no side effects at all. That's the thing.
No, absolutely not. Roger loves that we went on for an extra half hour talking about my favorite thing. My favorite. It is my favorite. God, I love them. They help me out so much in my life.
I took them one time when I was like 21, 22 and went to a comedy show. And when I started feeling it kick in, me and my buddy were like, I'm like, how you feeling? He goes, not good. I go, yeah, me neither. And we both got up and we went and sat in the back seat of his brother's car. It was a brother's Explorer in the back seat until everybody else came out of the comedy show. Funny, I think we got to just the openers. It was
gave yourself bad energy. Gave yourself
bad
well, if you're in a bad
looking at the back seat, dude. It was terrible.
When if you let it like you want to, if something like is bothering you or annoying you or freaking you out just a little bit, like when the mushrooms are starting to set in, get the fuck out of there, because
I want to learn to meditate is what I want to learn to do.
Yeah,
I want to
true.
learn to meditate.
So this is why I give the people that reach out to me, I give them a protocol. And I also give them a playlist to listen to that my shaman gave to me, right? Because I'm a little bit connected to people that do medicine and stuff, because I've had interactions with a lot of shaman. So one of my shaman was very gracious to share his playlist that he would use during ceremonies with Bufo Alvarez. And that made such a huge difference, because ambience and setting is super, super key when you're doing any psychedelic, because even weed, although weed is not psychedelic, is psychoactive. And what I do know is that in the presence of certain people, you get a different interaction with the weed than if you were with other type of people. Just like if you're listening to certain types of music, you can feel a different way than listening. For example, if you are listening to classical music and you smoke weed, you'll probably have a pretty good trip with the I call it hanging with the fairies, right? When you're smoking weed, you'll be hanging with the fairies on a different level than if you're listening to hardcore gangster rap music. If you're listening to
absolutely,
if you're listening to Mozart and Beethoven and stuff, well, with a bit of weed, different vibe. Just like if you listen to like medicine music, like the music that I give to people when they get mushrooms from me, completely different experience to have, because there's more the frequency is more in tune for healing and thinking about love, but also like forgiveness and letting go of the things that bother you, all these kind of things. So you would have a different experience even with weed. So ambience, music, absolutely very, very different experience. So if you try that, so there's what my point with that is, like, if you were to take magic mushrooms again, make sure you have like Reiki type music, meditation type music, anything like that can create a healing environment.
Yeah, more controlled environment than opposed to
correct
a half-filled arena, and I'm sitting there.
And you can't be with people, man. You can't be with people.
I was 22. I didn't know.
You wouldn't
know
know
somebody. It's got to be like with a very close friend, family member that you're doing it with in a controlled environment. That you're
That
like
was the
safe
best
place.
part
Your safe
about
place.
the guy I left with. Like we were both on the same level. Like we're not gonna mess with each other. We just stared at the back. We sat in the back seat and just looked at the headrest of the car for the whole.
Sure, it was great. I'm sure at one point, I'm sure it was great. I promise
Yeah,
you, it was probably
having a good
laughing your
time.
ass off.
It was manageable. We made it. Well, Todd, man, awesome episode. We'd love to have you back
Thank you
on and
so
chop
much.
it up some more, man. We appreciate you taking all this time with us, for sure. Why don't you let them know where they can find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Adriano_246 or my name Todd Cave on Facebook. And if you want to get into shape, just send me a message. Let's have a chat and see if you're a good fit for the Compound Body Training Army. And you can find my podcast, The Conscious Man 7. I upload to Spreaker, and basically you can find me everywhere because Spreaker spreads it for me. And also then I'd also have a merch store. It's called Todd and Me. It's on Amazon. So if you want to get like a cool Todd and Me shirt like I have on today, you can do that. And then we basically if you like to support the podcast I have, we have Patreon and locals as well. And just search for the Conscious Man 7 Patrons, Conscious Man locals, and we're there as well, right? Because we're on a mission to try to help as many people as we can to get into shape, but also level up mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and psychologically. Because getting into shape now is the biggest act of rebellion that you can do to the system. Because the system wants you to be weak, slow, dumb, and not to be able to think for yourself. And just the act of getting in shape can help you to counter all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I do coaching, and then I also do podcasts like this, which is long form, where I can share a little bit more information than I can on social media, because social media is just like the quick dopamine hit, so you have to put a short form reel, but with the podcast now, people can get to learn more about me and hear the stuff that I want to share. And I'm just here to help. I help people to grow, and the more people that I help to grow, the better the actual place can be, because one candle gives light to another candle, and then that candle gives light to another candle, and that's how we actually change the consciousness on the planet, one candle at a time. So I'm just here to spread my light and
bring light to the darkness.
Yeah, and on the people that resonate with me, then they're my people, and the people I don't, well, I don't, So like, even Yeshua said, I didn't come here for everyone. You know what I mean? he said he came.
Sure.
He said he came for those that have ears to hear and eyes to see. And my flock know me because my flock know it's me because they hear my voice. So I just try to walk in the footsteps of Yeshua, and he said, "Greater things shall ye do." So I said, "All right, well, let's have a go at this thing. Let's help some people."
No doubt.
Yeah, love it. Love it.
No doubt.
Awesome.
Awesome,
Once
Todd.
again, appreciate you, Todd. We're going to take a quick break here. We're going to chop it up and recap the episode.
Okay, man. Cool.
Awesome. Thanks again, Todd. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Cheers,
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Venture out into it either.
That's it.
We're good, right?
Yeah, we're rolling it right now. I was going to try to catch some of what we were just talking about and kind of recapping the episode here. Awesome episode with Todd Cave, man. That was another banger here on Conspiracy Chaos, the 69th ranked podcast on FeedSpot and the conspiracy division, I guess we'll call it. I don't know what the fuck we call it. Category.
Honestly,
I couldn't think of the word.
I could listen. I'm gonna go and listen to his podcast now, because I could listen to that dude talk all day with his accent and like how smart he is.
Bro, so smart. Barbados, baby. That's dope, man. I'd love to be down from the islands and just fucking chilling on the beach all day. Good shit.
Love that.
That completely nullifies flat Earth.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I wonder if he does.
I know you love the extra 20 minutes of mushroom talk.
Hey man, it's something he's into as well, and like if
he was actually
information that you guys, like you in particular, or even if there's a topic that Mike's into and it's something like that, dude, if you guys can get information out of it, like even with Deplorable Janet, you were getting the info about the medic, like medication stuff, bro. Like, I'm all for that shit, man. Like, I don't really care. I could never sit through an hour and 45-minute episode of fucking talking about
or
shrooms, bro.
or I just can't fall asleep, or I just can't Ramsey it again like that.
Yeah,
That was
that's all.
that was bad.
That was fucking crazy.
How about that when Mike was like,
So,
"Let me ask you something. Do you take 9 grams?" And he was like, "Well, actually, I took 10 grams."
I knew it
once."
was coming. I knew it was coming, though. I knew as soon as he brought it up, I knew it was coming. So started.
Real quick, want to give a shout out to our man Drew over at Speaking in Code. Hooked us up with these dope Yetis. I got your boys' packages right here. Hooked us up with a nice little care package, bunch of stickers, couple T-shirts. We have some Conspiracy Chaos T-shirts that I'll wait to present so the boys can all rock them. I'm gonna get Mikey's package down to Florida ASAP. Just got to put a nice little Christmas care package together for him. So, bunch of shit coming down soon, Mike. But guys, we got to keep this rolling into 2026. Not quite sure if I want to drop this before or after the new year. We'll wait and see. But either or, Happy New Year. Let's keep doing what we're doing here, going into 2026, moving up the charts the way we are. I mean, a couple spots. It's like every week we're creeping up one spot. So let's continue to do what we're doing and putting out good content that people are interested in, and hopefully we can keep bringing the guests what they want to hear. And I'd love to do some more guest interaction as well on social media, more lives on YouTube. Even if we hop on for like a 30-minute short, like a Q&A kind of thing, something like that.
Dude, I got.
Well, I think we're
at.
at 1,000 followers now on Instagram. We could go on Instagram Live.
Sure.
We might
Boom, boom.
get some interaction there. Congratulations, boys! We're at 1,000
Like,
followers.
My boy
That's
that
a quick
works with
little run.
me. My boy that works with me. Shout out to most of my coworkers at the new place. They all follow. So
yeah.
shout out to them at Bayside. But my boy in the back is in the music industry, and has actually met what's her name, the lady with the black fingers.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about the witch looking lady.
Yep, and he's actually met her.
What the fuck is her name? I can't remember her name right now on the top of my head, but I know who you're talking about.
I can't either, but
well, even when we had Tanya Ashe, she was saying that some of her clients that she's had, there's definitely more of like a cult and a cult opposed to just what you're seeing on TV and what they're practicing. There's more behind it. There's more they worship.
Oh yeah.
Hollywood's dark, man. That lady's always around. Hollywood always around celebrities, Kardashians and shit.
What's her name?
There's allegedly the Kardashians, all the guys they date are cursed. That's why they all go crazy.
Michelle Lammy.
There you go. Then there's you guys know about the Kardashian curse? So
yeah,
allegedly their grandmother or great grandmother, she was also a witch of some sort, and any man that any girl in the female in the family dated and they like broke up or whatever, their life could turn into complete shit. And if you look back on all their dating histories from Kanye, Lamar Odom, Chris Humphries, Travis Scott, like right after he broke up with Kardashian, that's when the concert shit happened. Like,
what about the dude that became a woman?
I was just gonna say Bruce Jenner is the most guy won Mr. The gold medals,
track and field, whatever.
Yeah. Track and field, and that was Caitlyn. Like, what the fuck? They did a number on him. They did a number on him. So.
And Kardashian curse. What's his name? Was it Kourtney Kardashian? What's his name? He like a
Lamar Odom
now.
Yeah, he always was. Yeah.
That's Khloe. That's Khloe Kardashian.
Oh, the Scott Disick. Yeah, the Scott Disick. Yeah. He's an alcoholic and out of rehab. Like, it's craziness. It's absolutely nuts, man. Holly weird, baby. Holly weird. But good episode, boys. Let's keep it coming. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share. Let's get the Apple reviews up. Please leave a 5-star review. leave a comment. There's no new ones on there. I just checked before we hopped on. But another great episode. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. That page is growing as well. Let's keep that
Yes.
going.
And
we will see.
please look at our other YouTube videos before we redact them all. You know, we don't want people
Before they
seeing
get
too
taken
much.
down.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think we'll have to, but definitely go check out some of the older episodes on there. There's some good episodes on. Most of them are timeless too. It's not like we're just really covering one particular topic. I mean, you got your current events like the Charlie Kirk and some other situations that happen, but for the most part, they're all pretty timeless episodes, from our conversation with Mark all the way up to current conversations today. So that's what we do.
How about those conversations today? You see, like, some of that crazy shit, man, that's been going on. Like, obviously, we said something about the Epstein files being all redacted, but like, Erica Kirk had Nicki Minaj on her show.
That was wild.
All
Didn't
people
Charlie
have
Kirk hate her?
Yeah.
I thought Charlie Kirk hated her. Like, he had a comment
Yeah,
about like kids listening to Nicki Minaj or something, or like he
that
actually
she's
like
not a woman's role model. She is not
or something like that. Yeah, he had a comment about her.
So
And Erica goes and has her on. That was weird.
And they're
It's
like
always-
bowing down to JD Vance.
Yep. It's all a
Holy
show.
weird, man.
All a
It's
show.
all a show.
Holy
All right, boys.
weird.
Another banger. Check it out. We're gonna be dropping a couple episodes here. Might sneak in a bonus episode. We were on did a guest spot on the Broken Truth podcast. Go check that out. I'll probably release that on here at some point as a bonus episode. That came out a few weeks ago now. So stay tuned for that. But appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll catch you next week. Peace.
Love.
This is conspiracy chaos. Truth, fiction, or both? Let's dive in.